Hello everybody. So I'm making a short update video because I want to just explain where I've been and kind of give a couple of announcements for the channel. So first off, I've been just, working full-time and being very busy and dealing with my, problems and stuff and juggling my life. So most of the time I come home and I'm really tired and I don't really have the energy to read or produce a bunch of stuff for my channel. So that's a big reason why I haven't been producing content. For any new subscribers who are not aware, I'm pretty bipolar, so when I'm depressed I don't really make stuff, and then when I become manic I'm more able to make stuff because my brain is just kind of like connecting everything together, and it's like, oh yeah, I can put all this stuff together. So I just get inactive a lot these days because I'm dealing with a job, I'm dealing with bills, I'm dealing with a family, so it's a lot of work, and it's pretty stressful. So that eats into my mood, that eats into my ability to make new content. So yeah, I came back though because of two reasons. One, I had this kind of like revelation in my life about, I'd kind of distanced myself from my channel for a while again because, going through a psychotic episode is a very traumatizing incident. And you have to like you think to yourself like, well, if I get into this, am I gonna go crazy again? And I just kind of avoided thinking about Dolazenguatri and disability stuff for a while because I'd been through a lot. And what happened was I became friends with somebody else in my apartment complex, and she's this single mom who's trying to raise her kids and stuff, and she's a really nice lady, and we've been friends for a couple of months now, and I realized she's actually really sick, and I started to realize how race really impacted her relationship with medicine and her relationship with getting access to healthcare to help regulate her condition, and how her race really influenced how she developed her condition and all of it. And it's just like it was really eye-opening to me, and I know that's like the whitest thing ever because but I was like a crazy person who basically didn't know how to communicate with people outside of a computer for a long time. So I didn't really know what to do with my life. I didn't really know how to communicate with people. So touching grass is a good thing to do. If you haven't done it or tried it already, I'd recommend it 100%. Just go out there and meet somebody, because there's people who are going through things, and you'll realize that those things that those theorists are talking about aren't just real, they're really real. So it's kind of brought me back here. And then of course recently, if you are not aware, Richard Dawkins has kind of gone full mask off, right, with his hatred and transphobia. So I can't just sit around and not talk about that, considering how much effort that I've put into the science wars and Richard Dawkins' exploits in the past. So it looks like I'm going to be making some more content for my channel about Richard Dawkins. I am going to be making a response to this incident, but I'm going to try to aim to get it out by the end of the weekend, but that might not be possible because we are talking about, doing a lot of research, and just it's for a short video, but I need to make sure that everything hits, everything slaps, everything kind of comes together, and it's gonna be great. But in the meantime, what I would recommend in regards to this Richard Dawkins situation, if you know anybody or you yourself are involved with the sciences, if you are into any sort of field in biology, or anything that involves medicine, biology, evolution, whatever, anything where Richard Dawkins has a really large influence, it would be a really good idea right now to get people talking about a book called The Devil's Chaplain, right? Now this book is basically a collection of texts that he wrote for just various like publications and stuff, short essays, right? And these essay collections, if you didn't know, these essay collections can often reveal a lot about like a person's personality and like viewpoints and stuff like that. You know, those small texts were really useful when learning a lot about Guattari and learning about how like he did his life and what his activism was like and what he really believed in. But you read what Richard Dawkins had to say, and it's interesting. So the first, I want to go over two things. I haven't looked through the whole book. I'm sure there's even more content than what I'm mentioning here. Chapter 5 is basically a reaction to Stephen Jay Gould's death. He died about a year before this book was published, and it's just really in bad taste what Richard Dawkins does here. He basically uses it as an opportunity to like share his old book reviews where he's basically shitting on Gould's work by basically being a extremely technical and like nitpicky like bitch. Like that's basically the best way to describe it. Like it's not really a real critique, it's really just him kind of like flexing his biology knowledge and trying to be like, yeah, well, I don't like it, and check this out, I can go and say like all of this crap about like bacteria and shit. And it's just like the most, it's a genuinely infuriating collection of essays, but it's book reviews, but it's not the worst thing that's in the book. The worst thing is definitely chapter 6, which is basically a bunch of book reviews that Richard Dawkins is promoting, that are books that are basically racist, colonialist books about like, it's about white people interacting with Africans, and it's pretty racist, and it also reveals a lot about like Richard Dawkins' childhood and his like motivations and like how he sees the world. So like, just in case you didn't realize up to this point, or somebody you know didn't realize up to this point, that Richard Dawkins is a huge piece of shit, right? Just show them The Devil's Chaplain. Get people reading that book. Like, get people knowing about it, because like right now is the time to like get people talking about how he's a piece of shit, because he's been doing this at least since the 90s. I suspect he's even been doing it since the 70s, ever since he had the success of The Selfish Gene. But there's evidence going back at least since the 90s that he's spreading racist propaganda and all this shit. And just be aware that he's always been a shithead and share that shit. Alright, well, I'll see you in hopefully a couple days, but it might take longer. I'll let you know, and we'll have a response to this whole Richard Dawkins transphobia thing. Nice seeing everybody again, and take care.